This is why you died.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Is Why You Died, the horror show that walks the earth because there is no more room in hell. And also because we kind of want to be like Kane in Kung Fu. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, aka your Uncle Frank, and joining me as always are the shambalicious Dan March of Madness and the gut-munching Ryan Ross. Live. Welcome, boys. Welcome to the show.
That's a good
gut
one.
munch.
That's a good one.
Gut
I like that one.
munching.
Shambalicious sounds like a Beyonce album that never made it to release.
It's the Beyonce zombie album, which
Yes.
I would be when
It's just her cover of Heads Will Roll.
Dude, if she
Oh, nice one.
Oh, zing.
Oh, nice one. Good one.
Zing. That's a good one. If she wants to go from country to zombie, I'm a part of the Bay Hive. I'm in. We are the horror show that picks prompts at random from our 666 words and phrases in our buckets of the beast, and then we choose and watch horror movies based on those prompts, and then we come back here to discuss them with all of you, our dedicated listeners. And today we have a treat for you. We're doing some freaking classics today. In fact, we got to get going right into the show tonight, because if you are a patron of ours, then you've seen our extended edition, some of the extra bonus content before and after of the show. We have a massive one today. Ryan's mom stopped by our extended edition
Mama
today.
Ross Live.
Mama Ross Live stopped by, and we've already been talking about our movies for the last half an hour with Mama Ross Live. Tons of great content there. As a matter of fact, Ryan, tell them what else they can get on our Patreon.
Yeah, so you get a ton of access to various content on our Patreon based off of what tier you subscribe. Each tier has premium exclusive rewards that then all stack the further you go up. So you can get merch discounts, you can get access to bonus content, you can access to our extended editions, including my mom, who's great.
Yes.
So if you want to come listen to my mom talk about stuff, it was half an hour. It was one of our longest intros of any episode.
It was the most wholesome content you'll ever hear on a horror show.
She's great.
While still being about horror.
Then our top tier is our dedicated benefactors, which you get an exclusive shout out if you are a dedicated benefactor. So big shout out to CG.
Hello, CG. Thank you, CG.
What up,
Thank
CG?
you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the show. That does make a huge difference. It helps us improve the show. And if we hit certain milestones, we've got new, bigger things that we're going to do with the show, including adding other killers, including the potential of recording live together, or potentially even in the same room. So if that is something that you're interested in, definitely check it out.
Yeah, please support the show. And Dan, where can they go to find all of these links and help support?
Oh, they can go to beacons.ai/TIWYD pod. That's where you can find all of the important links and where you can listen to us and watch us and wear our stuff.
That's right. Look at that beautiful beanie on your head.
Boom.
Look at that amazing
right here.
logo.
Look at that.
Bam.
There it is.
That's right. Perma attached to Dan March Madness's forehead. That this is why you died.
His Camp Crystal Lake sweatshirt. He's all themed out today.
Oh, dude, look at this.
Pour it out.
He is. Yeah, he's a horror. Enunciation is our strong point on this show, as is horror movies. And today, as I said, we have a doozy. We all pick prompts, and I picked the prompt for today because Dan threw the hex on us.
Sure did.
We have to watch two movies instead of one now. We have to do a double feature. And Dan, what specifically was the double feature category? Like, you made us watch double features that were...
Well, I called it Resurrection or Ruined. And you had to watch the original horror classic, and then it's either remake or reboot or legacy sequel, whatever you want to call it, wherever it fits into that category. But like last episode, we actually watched a legacy prequel.
Right.
The Omen and the First Omen.
A successful resurrect.
Yeah, that was a successful resurrect. The First Omen is a fucking solid legacy sequel, and we hate those. Well, I hate those, but I should say.
Speak for yourself.
What legacy sequels do you like, Ryan?
I do not hate them.
Legacy sequels.
Ryan, yeah.
To be honest, it's not like I've encountered a great deal of legacy sequels, but there are some sequels that are very good.
Sure.
Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1.
That's
Well,
Yeah,
no, that's different.
That's a sequel. That's just a normal sequel.
I said sequels. I segued.
Now Shrek 5 technically is still in a lineage sequel. I don't know if I don't know if it's called a legacy sequel because it's Shrek 5. It's not. I mean, I guess it kind of is because it's taken 20 years now.
Paying attention to how many Shreks there were. I know there's another one coming. Is that one 5 or is that one 6?
I think it's 5, but that's kind of my point.
Maybe
but
4.
That brings us to the topic today: is that I've got to pick 2 movies, one original and then one either a remake, a sequel, or a prequel. And that was kind of an interesting choice because my prompt that I was basing this on was the prompt Undead, which, I had so many options to choose from. But they're really, this is only our second season. We've only done like 50 episodes or so. We're still getting going. It's early days. We have a lot of classics to catch up on. And I figured it was time that we catch up on one of the most classic of classics, Dawn of the Dead, 1978 George Romero classic, and then the remake, the Zack Snyder.
Dan's been left in the dark.
For those of you who are not watching us on YouTube, Dan just had a horror moment of his own. The lights went out. Very appropriate for this show. But we're watching Dawn of the Dead and the Dawn of the Dead 2004 remake by Zack Snyder. So, Gunn. Come on. You guys are written by James Gunn, right? Both sides of DC in one movie. Who'd have thought that? That's crazy. It was one of James Gunn's first major projects after Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. He had to fight for it.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
There's a little interview that he had about how he had always considered himself kind of like the edgy, like rock horror and roll, out of the ballpark director. But then the big project that got his name on the board was Scooby-Doo, and then he got booked for this, and all the people knew him from publicly, like that got popular was Scooby-Doo, and there were like riots. People were like, get him off of the Dawn of the Dead. Because they didn't think that he could do it seriously because all he had done was Scooby-Doo and they thought he was only done kid stuff. They that's right. There's a whole report. He pointed to like a website that did like a review on him that was like, how dare they pick somebody like this? And then they read the script and were like, actually, the script's really good. I just wish it didn't have the same title as the first one.
So, and that website was Ain't It Cool News, and the reviewer was Harry Knowles, and who at the time in 2004, I remember very clearly that was the website you went to for behind the scenes news. And Harry Knowles actually got James Gunn's script and said, actually, no, hey, all you fans who are like, ready to kill him, it's actually a good script. It's actually looks, it might be good. But the reason everyone was pissed because the original was 1978 Dawn of the Dead, which we have watched for the show today, and we are going to compare and contrast. And Dan, what are we going to do? It's going to be,
resurrect or ruin?
Resurrect or ruin
it.
That's going to be interesting because we've got 20 years now, 22 years since the reboot. So we can really take a look at that and see what exactly the legacy was of both movies here, both the original and the remake. So, which is, I think, pretty extensive because, man, both of them now, I think, have quite a lot of legacy. So I'm looking forward to talking about all of that. But before we dive into those movies, we got to give the spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. All spoilers, including character deaths and plot twists, are now authorized. You have been warned.
She's so scary.
Oh, it's so scary. Bam, bam, bam. Spoiler warning going forward for 2 movies that are at least 2 decades old, or in one case, almost 5 decades old. So, yeah, spoilers. But
not everyone has seen every movie. There's a lot of movies.
Some people have missed movies. For example, boys, I'm assuming, Ryan, that you have seen neither of these movies.
I'd seen Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
And
Shaun of the Dead is fair.
I'm glad you have. That's great.
And Shaun of the Dead had a lot of references to the 1978 one. Came out the same year as the remake. So I'm actually curious to hear what you thought about Shaun of the Dead after you've seen the movie that it had a lot of its satire based on. Mm-hmm. But then, Dan, what's your history with this? Have you seen Dawn of the Dead?
Oh my gosh, I had not seen the original Dawn of the Dead. I know. It's crazy. I really, again, I thought I had, maybe I'd watched part of it, but I was so, I knew that I had not seen it when I'm watching it, and I was like, where's the mall? Why isn't the mall here yet? And I was like, didn't this take place in a mall? Where are they not in the mall yet? I was like, there's a news station. Now there's a raid. I'm like, what is happening? And it was like, you should look at my search history. I was like, does this happen in Dawn of the Dead? Okay, good. No. Does this happen in Dawn of the Dead? Okay, I'm still on the right track. I really thought I was like watching like the wrong version of some movie, but so like I had not seen the original Dawn of the Dead. Sadly, I've seen Night of the Living Dead a handful of times, like but no, I had not seen Dawn of the Dead. But the remake, the Zack Snyder version,
this one has the sun up. Like Night of the Living Dead's all under the moon.
What?
What just happened?
I said Dawn of the Dead. The sun's up for this one. Night of the Living Dead. There's no sun involved. It was a dumb joke. Move on.
Ryan Ross live.
It was right there.
Dan Merchant, 2004. How many times have you seen that one?
This is probably my fourth time seeing this movie. Yeah.
Okay.
This is my fourth time seeing Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Yeah.
All right, so you've seen that one a few. Did you see it in theaters when it came out, or did you catch it later?
I did not get to see it in theaters. No, I didn't see it. I saw it at home multiple times. Yeah,
got it.
But I didn't see it in theaters.
I will give my history. I think it goes without any surprise that I've seen the original Dawn of the Dead more times than I can count. Probably we're talking about close to 3 figures on that one. So many times. Christ. I mean, but. And I'm going to ask you boys this question as well. I've also seen every version of it because there are multiple versions of it. And I will ask you about what you watched in a second, although I suspect I know which one you watched. But I also, this movie was completely part of my DNA by the time I got to college, to the point where I lived in a house that was across the street from a cemetery. And my roommates and I, we would just sit up drinking beers and talking about what we would do when the zombies started coming back and crawling out of the ground. Like, okay, where's the hardware store? What are we going to do? And it was all based on the Romero zombies from that era. And Dawn of the Dead was a major part of that. I mean, this was just, I was watching this since I began watching horror movies. This is one of the big ones for me. And I was one of the people that was furious that they were going to remake it when Zack Snyder was doing Dawn of the Dead, the remake. And I saw that one in the theater with my buddy, 414 Beg, who does music for my other show, Horrorpalooza. And he's also an enormous horror head. And we saw that movie in the theater together, and he was so mad coming out. How dare they? How dare they call this Dawn of the Dead? And I was like, oh, bro, I thought it was pretty good. It was kind of badass. I was like, no, they shouldn't have been called Dawn of the Dead. It just was in a mall. It's the only thing that was the same about it. And he has a point. He's since come around on it now. But at the time, he was a purist about it, and there's a lot of people that were, and I totally understand that, because it was an actual like monolith of a movie when I was growing up. So this is particularly exciting for me to do this show right now with you guys because it's such a different perspective.
Wow!
Real quick,
curious what you guys think about it.
Before we pivot, I have to ask: did you ever do a photo shoot in the graveyard by your house? Because it seems like something that I imagine there are photos floating around somewhere of you in the graveyard.
No, that's really weird, Ryan. Why would I do that?
I knew.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It had nothing to do with shovels and chainsaws.
Oh, my God.
So what is your guys, how long was the version you guys watched? How many minutes was the versions that you guys watched?
Mine was in the ballpark of 124. It was 2 hours and something.
Mine was 2 hours, 7 minutes.
And around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 hours and 7, there's 2 hours and 24, Ryan, because there is an extended cut, which was the version that was screened at Cannes. And that is it has a lot more footage in it. There's a lot more in that movie. It's not technically the director's cut. The American theatrical version, which is the version that Dan, you watched, is the preferred cut for George Romero. But he did put together a version that went to Cannes that was about 2.5 hours.
What was in the extra scenes? Do we know?
Unfortunately, I watched the theatrical cut this round. I know there's a lot more dialogue scenes. There's a lot more exposition scenes. There's more Here's the problem. I could describe it to you, but I don't know if, like, for example, at the beginning of in the scenes where in the newsroom, there was a lot more like, how long was that scene for you?
It was pretty long. There was a whole dude who was trying to get them. The board operator leaves, and there's that asshole who's trying to take over the station.
How long is Flyboy there for? Is he like a couple lines and a cup of coffee and he's out?
For that scene, yes. So it's probably theatrical then.
You probably watched the theatrical then.
Yeah.
All right. So, and also there's a lot of stuff that they add back into that one. But then there's also a shorter cut.
Oh,
and
really?
The soundtrack is totally different. So, Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead came about. George Romero had become famous for Night of the Living Dead at this point. He had changed the whole zombie genre. Prior to Night of the Living Dead, zombies were nearly universally connected to Haitian voodoo. And a lot of the time, it was more about racial prejudice in these movies than anything else, and being afraid of, foreign magic than it was actually like the undead. And the only thing even kind of close to what Romero did with Night of the Living Dead was Last Man on Earth, or the Richard Matheson book, I Am Legend, which actually had monsters that were more akin to the kind of zombies that he had in Night of the Living Dead. He didn't call them zombies in Night of the Living Dead. He wanted to call them ghoul because they were literally undead who were cannibals on humans. That was the first time that had ever been done in cinema, was have undead that were cannibals for humans. And that became very like a calling card for him. And he got away from that, did a bunch of other movies, and then eventually came back and he wanted to do a sequel. And he got funding from an international coalition led by horror maestro from Italy, Dario Argento, who also worked with a band called Goblin. And Goblin did a little bit of the soundtrack for the American theatrical release, although they used a lot of licensed music. They didn't have anything freshly made. But Dario Argento, in this deal, got the international distribution rights to Dawn of the Dead, and he called it Zombie. And he released it in Europe as ZOMBI, Zombie. And the entire soundtrack was by Goblin, his boys in Goblin, and himself.
What?
So, and that cut is much more action-oriented. They cut out a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the exposition scenes, and it's got completely different mostly different soundtrack. So very different experience watching the European version of this movie. So a lot of different versions exist of this movie, but we are going to talk about the American theatrical version because that's what I think we just found out that we have all watched for this particular time.
Wow. Good job.
I've blathered on for long enough to pulling up the history of this movie. Let's talk about our experiences watching these movies back to back, because you have one that's very dated in 70s and one that's much more dated in 2000s. So here's my big question to you guys out of the gate. Dan, this is what you say, make or break. How does the sequel hold up to the original? There's a lot going on in the original in terms of thematics and in terms of style. And the 2004 one breaks all of those and goes in a totally different direction. The only thing the same, people in a mall, zombie apocalypse. What did we think about how these two movies compare? Dan, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about how these two movies compare to each other?
Well, I mean, it surprised me how different the original felt. I was surprised that there was only the 4 people, that there was that small of a group, because having seen Dawn of the Zack Snyder version and knowing that there was a bigger, massive group that was in this mall and they were banding together, I was very surprised at the small group. So it just kind of threw me, and I enjoyed Dawn of the Dead. Don't get me wrong. What I really enjoyed about it the most was it was setting the ground for so much of what Resident Evil is and survival horror is. Every element, I was without this movie, there are no survival horror games. It's there were specific elements of raiding different areas and grabbing the guns that you want, and how do we get these supplies and figuring out how to survive the night here, and how it was just it set the groundwork for the video games that we all grew up on and one that we even still play. But it was very goofy at times, and I think it was because it was being satirical.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and so there's a lot of goofiness to it, and a lot of moments, slapstick elements as well. And then you go into the next one, and I won't go on for too long because I want to hear what Ryan thought too. But Dawn of the Dead, like you said, with 28 Days Later, reinvented what we think of as zombies. And like this movie had such a huge impact on the horror community and on the zombie genre and where it would go moving forward, that it is, even though they are both sharing the same title, I think it's a vastly better movie than the original, in my opinion. I personally like it more.
We will debate that particular point as we go. But Ryan Ross Live, you're seeing both of these for the first time. How did you think these movies compared?
I was surprised how different they were, because I'll be honest, the first one, at least for the first 20 minutes, I was like, God, this movie's fucking terrible. It was so bad out the gate. It was like, I was like, oh God, this movie's going to suck. And then I will say it did grow on me throughout. By the end, I was a lot happier with it. I realized that it just basically became like a dark comedy of like, it's got, and the other thing is, I think the strongest thing of the first one, is the atmosphere elements. I think the atmosphere of the first movie is incredibly well done. And
really?
Yes. And just the feeling of like, yes, they're a little stereotypical. They're a little bit cheesy as characters, but all of the decisions that they make sense of like, okay, here's the next step of our survival. Like, here are things that we should do. Let's make a plan. We'll make a wall. Like, they do all these things that are logical decisions. It makes sense given the context that they're in. And the atmosphere of like them flying over the fields and seeing all these people and like cutting to the hillbillies, like having a party and like shooting zombies. Like, the atmosphere and the world building is done incredibly well. And I was really impressed by that. And that was kind of what first kind of hooked me into like, oh, this is good. This is getting a little better than I anticipated. And then as we went on, I was like, okay, like this is meant to be kind of silly. It's like, it doesn't take itself too seriously in the sense that all the decisions and stuff make sense, but it's meant to be funny. It's meant to be kind of this like ridiculous scenario. And even though the zombie makeup is terrible and like the shots of them just wandering around are dumb, the actual action moments of their decisions and their plan and the way they interact all felt good enough that it grew on me throughout. And then I felt pretty good about it by the end. Whereas the new one, feels way more modern. It's way more actiony. Like we've got running now. Like they're like, we want the zombies to feel threatening. We want to up the horror element. The first one didn't really feel too horror-y other than just like the concept of like, oh, you can get eaten. And like the mob tactics are a little like threatening, but not necessarily horrific. Whereas the second one really ups the like, we're going to make it scary.
If you're outside, you're fucked.
Like it's a lot more threatening. And then also to our point, it is very dated in the 2000s. There were a number of 2000s tropes. I immediately clocked the whole like, we're going to have a very intense action scene and then we're going to cut into Muzak in an elevator. Like that, I love that trope, but I was like, oh, that's a very pointed 2000s trope.
But I would argue that trope started here.
Did it really?
For that, he fought like an animal for that Richard Cheese version of Down with the Sickness.
Mm-hmm.
He fought like an animal for that because he thought it was such a cool juxtaposition. That actually, I would say, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that started here.
That's wild, because I loved all the Muzak versions of like the pop songs in the mall. I thought that was a really cool, poignant little side like undertone to it all. Of like, there was like All By Myself, and there's another one that I recognized. I don't remember. There's like a bunch of little like Muzak-y songs. I was like, this is great, but specifically just that. I know they've done it in Family Guy. I know they've done it in another in a handful of other movies and TV shows where it's like you cut to something crazy. Like something crazy going on, and then you cut to the people in the elevator and listening to like
playing with the
dynamics.
But people correct us if we're wrong. Like I believe that was one of the first times they'd ever done.
I'll see if I can find out while we're here.
That's well, let's do the show. We'll find it out later. I'm going to go ahead and stand on business and say that's the first time it ever happened. But that's the thing. Both these movies were really the first time a lot of things happened. You talk about the big world building in that first movie, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time we had that. Like we didn't have that kind of scope in Night of the Living Dead. It was in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And you can put this movie on right after that one. And it's the same night. right? Only it's happening now in the city. And you're seeing the city get sucked up into this zombie apocalypse, which you've never seen the zombie apocalypse happen before Dawn of the Dead. Now you're in the middle of it. You're in the middle of these zombies taking over the entire world. And you see the collapse of civilization, and you see the scientists on the TV not knowing what the hell to do, and everything's just falling apart. That had never been done like this, never been done before in this context. And
a lot pulls from that. Like Last of Us is totally that vibe. There's a bunch of stuff in that vein.
And Dan, to your point, yes, Resident Evil absolutely is founded on these movies. Both Romero and his Italian counterparts, who took his ideas and ran with them. It's all based on that. And Resident Evil is the reason we still have zombies today. Because if Resident Evil hadn't come along, arguably the zombie genre was dead by the time you had Serpent in the Rainbow in the late 80s, and then Brain Dead in 92. Peter Jackson was kind of like the capstone. You can't get more zombie-ish than that movie. And then we had nothing in film with zombies except for Resident Evil. And Resident Evil kept it alive in video games. And they had the Romero zombies, even though now it was a virus and they had like a whole backstory with it. And the only thing that you had after that was the Resident Evil movie, which isn't really a zombie movie. It's more of a creature feature. And then you have 28 Days Later come along, and they're not zombies. They're rage people. They're not dead. They're still alive.
They're very angry.
They're infected and they're very angry, but they're also very fast. And then you have this come along in 2004, and it's just, this is where it really clicked. And here's an interesting statistic. So between 1930 and Night of the Living Dead, there were, give or take, about 40 movies made that you could say were zombie movies. Starting with let's say starting with White Zombie in 1932. About 40 movies that were quote unquote zombie movies. You could say were zombie movies. There were at least 40 or more zombie movies made every 2 years after 2004. Wow. From about 2004 to 2018 or 19, you could take any 2 years and there's over 40 movies. 40 zombie movies.
That's way.
That's how big it exploded. It's nuts. Jeez. It's nuts how, and you know what made it explode? The Dawn of the Dead remake and 28 Days Later. But the Dawn of the Dead remake is the one that really, as you said, codified the running zombies, the look, the way that they move, the kind of action, the pace that we keep.
Honestly, even the bite, because the original doesn't have the bite. The original is just, if you die, you turn into a zombie. And then they had the brain thing. But
they shoot him in the head.
Yes.
Shoot him in the head.
Or separate the brain stem, which like...
But people were getting bit and just were fine-ish, I guess,
Well, no, because remember Roger...
It was basically... Yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing, it kept it open. Was it the bite that infected him and caused him to turn into a zombie? Or did the bite get infected and then he turns into a zombie when he reanimates when he dies?
And that's how I took it, was that the bite gave him the bite carried a deadly infection, because that's a real thing. Like you can get infected from bites normally, but the human mouth is not a clean place.
Filthy. It's filthy. Especially mine.
It seemed to imply that it was just like, if you died, you are becoming a zombie. End of story. There's no bite involved. Whereas the new one made it very clear, like the bite is the cause. If you are bitten, you are becoming a zombie.
And that was an interesting diversion when you had, after Dawn of the Dead, the reason it's not called Dawn of the Living Dead is because one of the producers of Night of the Living Dead, Brian Usna, he actually had the rights to Living Dead. The term, the Living Dead. So they couldn't call it Dawn of the Living Dead. It had to be Dawn of the Dead. But then in the 80s, you had Return of the Living Dead.
Wow.
Which was also a pseudo-sequel to Night of the Living Dead. And if you recall the plot of that movie, they actually even say, remember Night of the Living Dead? Well, that was a movie they made up to try to cover up an actual thing that happened, which was that there was a zombie outbreak. And in that movie, they said that, no, it is a virus and it's made by the government and you can catch it. And if you catch it, any kind of dead tissue becomes reanimated. And that was their logic, was that the dead were coming back because whatever this gas is, it reanimates dead tissue. So that would where the dead come from varied all throughout this time. And it wasn't until later on that it became straight up, it's a virus. In Brain Dead, it's the Sumatran rat monkey. He's got a virus that he bites you, you become a zombie. And then by the time you get 2004 and 28 Days Later, it's a virus, and because we're all scared of pandemics. I wonder why.
Right.
That was before, though.
I know. And that,
anything since the Spanish flu.
What did you think? I was thinking about the first few days of the pandemic. I'm like, here we go, zombie apocalypse. Going to the hardware store. Got to get me a pickaxe and a chainsaw, and let's go. So, all right. But here's another thing that I want to talk about, juxtaposing the two movies. The original's a satire, full on taking shots at consumerism, and we can debate while we're talking about this.
I'm so
if we
glad
think it's
that you
still
said
effective.
that, because I very much was like, God, this feels like it's very like the fact that they're just wandering on the mall dead feels very anti-capitalist. This is very interesting.
Oh my God. If he's not making fun of people wandering through malls, I don't know what he's expressly said it, that it's an anti-capitalist movie, but it's making fun of consumer culture.
This place is really important to them.
Yeah, there must be some memory. They really like
familiar.
being here. Right. And then you have these pictures of people like wandering around malls, and it's absolutely a brilliant satire. There's no satire in the remake. Do we miss it? Does it need to have it? Like what do you guys like? That was a big question about when the new one came out. Doesn't hold up to the original because it lacks the social satire. Did it need it?
Well, I feel like the goals are different. The first one feels like a social satire, and it feels like it's more of a comedy, and it's meant to be like, oh, like here's some realistic scenarios that occur, but we're going to create, it's more entertainment based in terms of like the, we'll focus on the relationships, we'll focus on some funny stuff, we'll make some commentary, and then we'll add some emotional elements in terms of loss and the actual like tension of the thing. Whereas the modern one feels very like, we're going to give you an action movie, we're going to give you scares, we're going to give you suspense, we're going to like, we'll still have some emotional moments, but they're going to be darker. And we're gonna like put you in some really rough scenarios, and it seems to try and push your boundaries more in terms of like, we're gonna put some pressure on it to try and give you more of an adrenaline pumping experience.
Oh, 100% with the adrenaline. That's definitely something right up in Zack Snyder's wheelbox. Dan, for you, did you miss the satire in the new one, or did you? Since you watched the old one more recently, did you find that the satire was out of place?
No, I appreciated the satire. I think I knew what he was trying to do, and all the over the top moments. Like I felt like everything was purposeful and everything was being like he was making it for that reason. It felt goofy at times, but I think that was the purpose of it. Whereas, this was doing something completely different. What they wrote, what James Gunn wrote here and what they made here was doing something different. Yes, it was set in a mall. Yes, it has zombies. But it was telling a different story, and it had a lot of different other elements in it. And of course it came out at a totally different time too. So there's different things to be said that, it's, Ian, you talked about how you really like the zombies, like zombie genre and the history of the zombie, that you love it. What I love about the zombie genre is that you can take the zombie, but then you can use it as a metaphor for something that that is going through, whether it's something personal you're going through, mentally, or whether it's something, most of the time that they use it for is like something that society is going through. And so I think you could look at what was happening in time and politically and going on in the country and see what that's going on in Dawn of the Dead. And then you can look at the new Dawn of the Dead comes out, 2004?
Yeah.
So we're now in a post 9/11 society where we can't trust people, where like we don't know who to trust. We're like it's telling a different story. We're living in a totally different society than we were, and so I didn't miss it because it's a totally different movie. I think it's totally different. It's storyline, just different, just same setting, but zombies are different for a
different
reason.
feel. Well, then
Different
let's talk about so the satire in the first one. Is it still relevant? Like what he's saying in that one. He's specifically talking about something which is new for him at the time, which is that mall culture. And like we said on the pre-show with Mama Ross Live, that mall is the fifth main character in the movie, right? He shoots the shit out of that mall because it is a giant symbol for him and not necessarily a good one. But that being said, it's kind of quaint now. Like, I don't know about you guys, but watching this movie for the billionth time, I looked at that mall and I'm like, God, I would love to go there. That just looks homey and cozy. But for him, it was this edifice of consumerism. Like, did you guys have the same sort of thing where you look at this and the satire is like, I get his point, but it seems like we're so far beyond that now that it just seems kind of sweet almost to be satirizing this kind of consumerism.
I don't know that it felt like it was too far removed in the sense that I definitely was able to still grasp like, oh, this feels very poignantly pointed at, especially considering how like much fire capitalism in general is coming under right now with the way the economy and politics are working and the fact that we're very like late stage capitalism has come under a lot bigger microscope in the last 5-10 years. So I felt like that was still poignant. But one thing I was thinking about during this viewing in terms of the mall and the consumerist thing is that we've almost, it's the reverse side of a window that we're kind of reaching the end of like, that was right when malls are new. We're at the point now where there's a lot of malls shutting down, a lot of malls dying because there's not enough stores staying in them. There's not enough people going to malls. We're removing, there's the whole third place. I don't know if you guys are familiar with third places in terms of like that social theory of third places.
Yes. Yeah. Places to be out of your house and out of your work to meet people.
Correct. It's like the places that you have social gatherings and like
a bar, a church, a restaurant, whatever.
Correct. Parks.
The mall.
And the fact that like a lot of those places are being removed. Like in urban sprawl, there's not as many like parks and social like gathering, just like open places for people to be. People are leaving the church and leaving religion in droves. The malls are shutting down because people aren't going to malls and people can order things online, so they don't need to go out. And then on top of that, like rent and stuff for these places is very high, so stores don't feel like it's profitable to be in them because there's nobody walking around. And so these malls are turning into these ghost towns, and a bunch of them are getting shut down or torn down. And so it's this other end of like, you're right, there is this nostalgic aspect of malls of looking at it being like, oh, like even I, as the youngest of the three of us, have very fond memories of the mall. Yeah. And like people much younger than me are not going to have those memories and have no association with them, and malls are going away. So we're almost in this weird window of like the death of malls, and which was kind of just a weird viewing angle of like, oh, and even just comparing the malls between the two, the malls in the first one, the wall in the first one feels very like retro, almost like that mall in like if anyone's seen Better Call Saul, that mall feels very more like antiquated, whereas like the mall in the remake feels like a very modern mall. It was a lot more like glass and blue lighting and like skylights and metal elevators. It already felt a lot more artificial and corporate, and you could see the angle that was being taken there. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that, you know, the ultimate nostalgia show, Stranger Things, had a whole season where you spend a lot of time in the mall. And on top of all of that, which was also a shutdown mall, and it got torn down after that show was shot, by the way. That was which I think that's very telling. That's very telling. Yeah. Jesus. But you know, the mall in 2004 they shot in, you know why they were able to shoot there? Because it was about to be shut down. Oh, yeah. That one got shut down too. That's how a lot of them are. Is that you get them before they're like people are allowed to film there, and they'll have like a wing of it or whatever that's still safe, but the rest of the mall's shut down, and then the minute they're done, it's all torn down. But think about the difference between how the mall is positioned in the original Dawn of the Dead, as I said, almost like a fifth character, versus how the mall is in 2004. It's just a place they are. Right. It is a plot point, and it's nothing to do with the consumer. There's some stuff there. We have a coffee shop. That's where we all meet. It's our fourth space. Like we've got the sports store and blah, 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 blah. But we don't ever get a sense of the layout of the mall. We don't get a sense of what all stores are there. We don't get a real feeling of the place. It's just a place where the plot happened. And that's kind of funny because the movie's called Dawn of the Dead, and it takes place in a mall. That's the only connection, and it's a zombie apocalypse, only connection to the first one. And that, I think, is something that we're going to have to, at some point, reckon with in terms of, is this really a remake? I'd go one step further. The only thing it has in common. And say that we have a badass African-American cop who ends up being like one of the main heroes of the movie throughout. Are you talking about I would say that is a direct line that is in both. And it's basically the only character trope that we really have that is both.
Who's a more badass, Ken Faree or Ving Rhames? I'm not that I need to pit them against each other, but like, who's more badass across the movies?
Which one's which? You're gonna have to give me.
Well, Ving Rhames is in the remake.
Yeah, Ving Rhames is in the remake, and Ken Faree is in the original. Actually, Ken Faree is in the remake too. Ken Faree is actually the preacher on TV in the remake.
Yeah, I know that they had special appearances from the original cast in it.
Yeah.
It was credit. I saw it in the credits, although I didn't see who they were. But,
they were both on. So Ken Faree was the preacher on TV who was saying, "You did this because you're sleeping with other guys." And you
the one, and he calls out his old line of the whole.
He does his old line. The dead. There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk the earth. And then there was the one army captain on TV, and that was Roger.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Were the other two not involved?
They had some. I think they had some lines, but they were not directly involved. No.
Got it.
But. So
Tom
Ken
Savini.
Faree, and Tom Savini was in. That's true. Tom Savini came back. Tom Savini, remember Ryan in the original, was the handlebar having a motorcycle guy at the end with the machete.
Oh yeah.
So he's also the one guy who did all of the special effects for the original Dawn of the Dead. All of them, 300 extras, and he's in there painting them with I think 1 or 2 assistants.
Holy shit!
And he did all of the hero effects, like anytime you saw a head blow up or like a neck get bitten. Or anything, Tom Savini did all of that.
He's
he
much
has his
better
own
at
school
effects
of
than he is at makeup.
Well, again, because he was
time.
the one guy having to put makeup on 300 fucking people at a time, and he didn't exactly have a giant amount of resources to work with.
Yeah,
I honestly think, given what he had and what he had, like what he was doing, he did a pretty fucking bang up job, all things considered. He's actually a Vietnam vet. He started off in makeup.
Wow.
This was his first. Let's see. Dawn was not his first one. He did Death Dream before this. That was his first one. But he came back from Nam, and he was, I believe, a war photographer over there, among other things. And he used his experience in the field to help him create the gore effects because he'd seen it for real.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And he also directed the remake of Night of the Living Dead, which I would love to watch sometime in the 92, I think it was, which I think is fantastic.
It is good.
But yes,
I actually
Tom Savini
saw
was
that
in
one before the original.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think it was on TV. I think it was on
Right.
TV. It was like, it was in in the 90s where like any movie that was made was just on TV on Saturdays. It was like, oh, what's this movie? And then I watched it. And then when I saw that there was an original in black and white, I was like, what? I thought this movie was in color. And then everything.
There is a colorized version of the old Night of the Living Dead. I do not recommend it.
Yes,
it's kind of like the colorized Nosferatu. We're going down a rabbit hole here.
We're going down the zombie rabbit hole.
Let's bring it back to these two movies here. All right. Which kind of what zombies do we prefer? Fast or slow?
Fast.
Oh, fast all the way. That's
really
scary.
Fast.
Oh yeah.
Slow zombies are not threatening enough.
They were so comical when they were running around, like juking them, like running through. It's like, I think we can outrun them. They're just like, where am I? And like running the walls and tripping over things and like wobbling. Whereas like Dawn of the Dead, like the remake ones, like you don't mess with them, and they change so quickly. It's like boom. Well, it's like they're dead. Seconds later, boom, zombie.
That was the thing that I distinctly noted very early on. Was like, oh, we like transformations happen fast. They really established that with the boyfriend right away. But
dude,
the opening. We got to talk about the opening.
Let's talk about the opening. Let's talk about the opening.
Well, I have a follow up, but we'll pin after. So we'll come back to it.
No. Talk about the boyfriend, and we'll segue into the opening.
I was just gonna say with the speed zombies, I recognize that this was like, if this is the first example or this in 28 Days Later or whatever, but like the running zombie transition from shambling zombies to running zombies, like even if this one's scary, but it's not crazy. But then you progress that line into like, I haven't seen World War Z, but I've seen previews of World War Z, and you look at like the Left 4 Dead series and like the mobs of zombies and like the gaming stuff that came out of like fast zombies. Fast zombies are not to be fucked with. You do not underestimate fast zombies. But yeah, fast zombies 1000% all the way through.
It's just to really quickly put a little pin on that as well, is that it's not the first time that fast zombies existed. Fast zombies have been around for a long time.
Okay.
Brain Dead and even Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead, people forget, The zombies in that hauled ass and could speak and could plot. The zombies in that straight up, like, they attack a whole bunch of cops. They get on the cop radio and go, send more cops. And and you can't kill them. They're the scariest zombies of all time, in my opinion. Return of the Living Dead zombies are the worst. But it's also one of the funniest movies. I love that movie. But, of course. But World War Z is also really terrifying because then you have Horde. That's the next level. The Horde
like
zombies.
A mob.
Right.
You're making a mountain
ants.
of moving, terrifying bullshit.
Not a great movie. Great zombie shit, though.
Great book, though. Great book.
I could see a place for both of them, but I agree. I think fast zombies are just by nature scarier. And one of my favorite fast zombie moments of all time happens in the intro to the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, which is, by the way, one of the greatest intros in horror history. That whole chunk until she drives her car off of the freeway, and then just the whole intro sequence with Johnny Cash. Jesus fucking Christ, that shit is. I was in the theater. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The pull-up shot with everything blowing up and the car coming across and hitting the gas station and explosions, and when she first leaves her house and the whole neighborhood is just being torn up. The way and it's the moment when her boyfriend jumps on the hood of her car and she takes off and he's just running after her with this crazed look in his eye, and he just looks to his left and it's like a bird. It's like a hunting animal.
He just peels off.
So,
like,
there's somebody I can eat.
He turns his head first and then his whole body turns and goes for the neighbor. Oh, that was, I have goosies.
It's so
even
good.
Talking about it. That is such a freaking amazing zombie moment because you know exactly what they are now. They're fast and they're predators.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. And the escalation with the little girl jumping the boyfriend and how vicious that whole scene is with her falling in the bath and hitting her head. It's all such escalation. It's all so brutal. It's just such a brilliant opening. It's it's the best thing about this movie, in my opinion.
It really is. I mean, that's the thing that stands out. And I'm sure I caught it the first few times I had seen it before, but I really like what it does. And actually Shaun of the Dead does it actually almost entertainingly too well. But when they tease that the apocalypse is happening, through the radio, through the breaking news, like they're just missing it. She's just missing getting the information until it's like too late. And and then if you go back into like a post 9/11 society, I remember the morning after the morning of 9/11, when you wake up and you were on the West Coast, like you're just getting little tidbits of information that just doesn't feel real. And I'm sure that's what was captured here. It's just like you're getting these tiny little tidbits until it all just like explodes in front of her. And she's just like realizing like this isn't just in her house. Like this is everywhere,
Well,
so
I love that car shot I felt like they did that really well, of just the shock value of, to your point, she's driven through the whole neighborhood. There's all this crazy stuff happening. And then she's driving down the street and a car literally T-bones a truck and there's a giant explosion and she doesn't even swerve. It's just the car just keeps straight in the lane, following the rules, following the routine that she knows, because your whole body's just in full shock. Like, I just have to get out of here. I just have to drive on the road. I have to stay in the lane because those are the laws. Like, I'm just going to do what I know until I figure out a solution to this.
Well, what about that shot too of like the she's just sitting there helpless, seeing like that person being ripped apart by two other zombies in the bus. Like, and there's nothing she can do, and she's just sitting there, like
until the other person tries to rip her out of her car.
Right, right.
It's such a great modernization of the beginning of Dawn of the Dead, which is when you first watched Dawn of the Dead. For me, at least, it was just you're plunged into a cold pool right away. We're in the middle of the fucking apocalypse. Shit is coming apart. You're in a tenement building. There's zombies everywhere. People are getting munched. The cops are going insane and shooting people right and left because they finally have no law and they can just do whatever the hell they want. The cops are shooting each other. Like, it's absolute madness.
We've learned that bar's a lot lower in recent years, but
right. Well, but that movie had it locked in 1978.
Yeah.
But it's funny, really quickly, a quick segue to or diversion to Shaun of the Dead. Ryan, you mentioned something about the nature of how satire has changed for us now. Think about that movie, because that movie came out the same year as the Dawn of the Dead remake, but it was a satire. It had the same kind of sensibility as Dawn of the Dead, where we're going to kind of poke fun at this schlub of a guy. And what was the, instead of walking around a mall like a zombie, at the end, what are they doing? Sitting on the couch, playing video games. That's a pointed. I mean,
their mall in that movie is a pub. They're trapped in the pub.
Right.
That's right. The Winchester.
Oh,
have a nice pint.
Movie.
Wait till this all blows over.
Yep.
I'm glad you've seen that movie, Ryan. That makes me very happy.
It's so good.
But,
to be fair, it's been a hot minute, so I don't remember a lot of it, but I have seen it.
Well, the more zombie movies that you watch from the old times, the more that movie will ring true to you.
Very true.
Yeah. All right. So one last, I got to ask this before we get to the last segments here. The zombie baby? Yay, nay? What do we think? What do we think of the zombie baby?
It's a
zombie
brutal
baby
scene. I think that the premise of him being so accepting of it is a little ridiculous for me. That kind of trumped the line of like, are you kidding? Like that he's gonna defend this. But it's sad, and like I can see the angle they were going for. But yeah, the fact that she's like tied up in there and has been for a while, like it seems odd to me that no one's checked up on her. Like they're like, I'm gonna go check on her. Now, after what's clearly been days of time. But the scene's very brutal. The fact that the old woman finds him, the fact that like he freaks out, like that was the scene was done well. I just think that the premise of and like the moving of it before it, like that all was a lot. And
then they put the gun to its head. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys.
Well, even something just so dark.
When she's gonna die and he thinks that she's dead, and then the stomach starts moving, like
great shit. That was one of my favorite scenes when I first saw it, and then now I think that's a terribly directed, but zombie baby, always give a plus for a zombie baby. That being said, hot take: Mekhi Phifer, horribly miscast. He's too likable and charismatic to be in this role. He should have been a different character.
Is he the dad in that?
He was he was the boyfriend.
Was he not supposed to be likable? I thought that he did a great job being likable.
I thought that's it.
That's the problem. He's too likable.
No, but
and then all of a sudden he's like,
that?
"You trying to kill my family? I'll blow your ass away." It's just it was, I don't know. To me, I felt like he did too much of a good job of being like, you want him to be a main character. Mekhi Phifer's an incredible, charismatic actor. You want him to be a main character, and instead he just ends up being fodder. And that's last question, because we've got two movies that have casts that we're supposed to relate to in the zombie apocalypse, right? First one, 4 people, and very quickly 3 people. Because Roger doesn't make it too long.
I love
Poor Roger. He's such a
disagree.
sweetie.
For anyone who listened to the extended, my mom was shitting all over Roger, but I really love Roger. She did not like Roger.
She didn't just shit on Roger. She shit on Scott Reininger. The thing is that Reininger is the name. The actor, she was like, he's not a good actor. What the?
She had strong takes. She didn't like it. But I really liked Roger. But honestly, I think to your point, I think the first one, all of the characters feel like stronger characters. The second one, honestly, I don't even feel like the dad was fodder. Although, like, there's that one chick who is like one of the last ones to die, and I don't even know her name. The blonde with the curls.
The sex pot. Yeah. I'm there to be. I'm kind of sexy and sultry. That's her one character trait. We know nothing about her.
She bangs Steve and
from Modern Family.
And then like she like flirts with everyone else at dinner once and is like, well, maybe you just haven't met the right girl, and they all just breeze by it.
Dude, Ty Burrell was supposed to play the Jake Weber part, the main guy, right? And Jake Weber just came across as being more genuine, which he did in this movie. He seems like as like a decent dude, and Ty Burrell seems like an asshole. Which like they both nailed their parts. I can't imagine them flipping parts.
All I see is I know it's not him, but him do like the guy who looks a lot like Ty Burrell that does the man on the street segments that like runs around New York and is like, $4, name a woman. Like,
right,
Jesus.
Yes. Oh.
But this is the thing. This is kind of what I was pointing at. This is, I think, a major flaw with the remake is it has a ton of characters because it just wants a higher body count. But they're not valuable characters. And there's so many of them that are shorthanded that even the main characters have no fucking arc. There's like a redemption thing going on. There's also the whole like, who are you when society resets? And these are people that have like aspects of themselves they want to not be anymore. But that isn't really explored. And I think the characters in 2004 generally suck. You know, and it's funny because James Gunn's known for doing good characters. And I think that there's some good like sketches of characters. I love the relationship between Ving Rhames and the guy in the gun shop.
I agree.
But
yeah,
like
great.
that's one of the highlights of the movie is having that. But then you have useless characters like the one girl who's, and again, I don't even know their characters' names, and I've seen this movie like half a dozen times or more. I don't even know the name of the girl whose dad is bit, and they have to kill the dad.
Like Dorothy
and then she's like,
something,
wah, and she becomes the girlfriend of the security guy who turns on the other security guys. And then she's like, no, I had to save the dog. And she takes the truck
Dumbest
over to the
decision
guns.
in the whole movie.
Jesus Christ.
And also she makes it down there so fast. Like,
she's out and gone.
She just
wants
like
to say
teleports into a truck.
The dog is safe. We have shown the dog cross the entire parking lot without these thousands and thousands of zombies, which looked amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
It's got calling out the celebrity zombies.
Oh,
that was so funny.
The
so
one
good.
funny moment in the movie, and it's just a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds, damn, he's a good shot. That's amazing stuff. But just having her, against all logic, go over there and save the dog is incredibly frustrating. And I thought that when it first came out, I will give this movie a pass because we've got 22 years of zombie cinema, like more zombie cinema in 2 years than we had in all the years before that, to build up what we now know of as the rules of zombie movies. Zombieland came out, 2 years after this? And that gave us all of the zombie rules, right?
Yeah.
Cardio.
They're still cardio, double tap the head, all of the stuff, like all the stuff you logically need to do. They didn't have that in this movie. So many dumb decisions in this movie. So many times where I was like, oh my God, we can't kill him. He might not be infected. Shoot him in the head. It's like from Dawn of the Dead, the scientist on TV with the eye patch, where he's like, just remain logical, no emotion. Logical, no emotion. Shoot them in the, like, we've seen enough zombie movies that we've had how many 1,800 years of Walking Dead, right? We know the rules now.
I will say though, wasn't the truck the same truck? That was an Easter egg, right? The truck,
that was a callback to it.
was a
Yeah.
callback.
Okay, it was, 'cause it was
And
literally
also-
the same logo.
Also, in the beginning of the movie, when you get that one big shot of her driving along and the car comes across her path and then goes into the gas station, the helicopter that they flied in Dawn of the Dead was the helicopter that flies past you in the air.
That's what I thought.
Oh, that's
so.
cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Quite a few little nice Easter eggs to the original. But here's the final question, boys, and then we'll get out of here and start doing our segments. Did 2004 need to be called Dawn of the Dead?
No,
Other than trying to get people to watch it because of how successful the original was.
not at all. I think, granted, I think that it capitalizes on it well. I think that using that title definitely worked to their effect, and they're like, it was successful for them. Was it necessary? No, in the sense that like it's a different movie. It's not the same movie. Would it have been as successful if it didn't use the title? That's a question I don't know. Like, it might not be as influential as it was had it not used the name. So like, that's kind of up for debate. But in terms of like, was it necessary? Did it require it? Did it imply something different than what it was? Absolutely. And it didn't really need to use it.
I agree completely. Dan, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like it should have been called Dawn of the Dead other than for marketing purposes?
I guess I hadn't really thought about it just because of because of the structure, just because it takes place in the mall.
In a mall.
It's in the mall. It's about the zombie apocalypse. So it's like, it's still
And we have an
felt like,
African American cop.
Yeah, I mean, like
That's it. That's
the
the key.
characters
We have to include that one. It's the only
Yeah,
other
right.
one.
Yeah, gotta have
It's the
But it's like,
only
so you
other
have,
thing.
Badass African American cop.
you have
That's it.
you have pregnant people. You have 2 pregnant people.
That's true.
Okay.
I guess.
That's stretching, but all right.
Yeah, no, I know. So, but yeah, no. I mean, I can see that. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I'd be curious to hear because I don't know the backstory, but I'd be curious to hear of like when James Gunn wrote it. Like, if he was like, "This is my take. I love Romero's Dawn of the Dead. I'm gonna do a fresh take on it," or if he did a zombie movie and then as working through it as the movie
No,
started to get
I will
made.
tell you, he was
Okay,
he
yeah.
was hired to do the Dawn of the Dead remake, and he said, I love the original. I want to honor it, but also do something different.
Well, that's cool.
So
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I did it need to be called that? No, but I think that there's enough elements of the original in it that it's definitely I think it's definitely deserves it.
yeah, I'll kind of come down between you two there and say that it didn't need to be called Dawn of the Dead, but I totally understand why they called it Dawn of the Dead. And crazily enough, I'm not mad at it. I get it. Fair enough. Call it Dawn of the Dead. Like it's enough like the original where there is a lineage there, and they're trying to move the zombie movie into the modern era. And here's the thing: I think we all agree they succeeded in that. So I think in retrospect, it kind of earned that title, even though it didn't necessarily maybe need it. I think in retrospect, I think it's worthy of being called Dawn of the Dead. So, but
there it is.
Who did we hate in these fucking movies? Let's go. Let's do our stuff here. Guy Woodhouse award. F that guy. We got 2 movies, 2 F that guys. Who do we fucking hate in these movies?
I'm going to jump on this one because I got strong opinions on this. So the first one is Steve. Fucking Steve. Flyboy Steve.
Flyboy? Motherfucking Steve.
God. He makes terrible decisions.
Douche.
He's a total douche. He constantly tries to take shots even though he's a terrible shot. And just like, dude, like chill out. He sucks.
He almost kills Ken Faree.
Yes.
Couple times.
He sucks. And then the new movie, I was gonna go CJ. But then the thing is, CJ ends up kind of redeeming himself. Like,
totally.
He's still a dick. I don't think he makes nice with anybody, but he's an asshole at the beginning. They basically put him into a corner, and then he ends up still helping the team enough and saving other people enough that I can't really throw him under the bus. But then ironically, you know who I can throw under the bus and is an asshole the entire time? Also Steve.
Also, Steve. Oh, Ty Burrell.
Ty Burrell, Steve.
Oh yeah,
like
Steve.
Also, Steve. He sucks. Like Steve in both
that's
movies.
a question for James Gunn right there. Did you name that character after Flyboy because Flyboy's such a dude?
Maybe.
Oh my God, he sucked. He's insufferable. He's annoying. He's directly rude and disrespectful to everyone around him constantly, even when he's trying to be helpful. And then the one time that they give him responsibility and a plan, he fucks up.
And he kills people as a result. He fucks them all over. This is why you died. Modern Family Guy. That's why. Like,
just Steve.
God.
It doesn't matter which Dawn of the Dead. Who's the worst guy in Dawn of the Dead? It's Steve. Doesn't matter which one.
I'll tell. And you just know. Here's the thing. I don't know how much it is acting, but David Emge as Steve in the first one, he plays a douche way too well, even down to his douchey run. His run. The high-chested, floppy leg, like the worst run you'll ever, like, he's just terrible. Talks down to he's impregnated this woman. He can't even romance her right.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know, like, he's just toxic to her
at every
romantic possible
thing that happens, he is a dinner put on by the other guy.
Right. Yeah. Which, by the way, to juxtapose, does Ken Faree do anything wrong in this movie? Peter's perfect. Like, he's flawless. He's just badass from start to finish. Man can cook, man can shoot, man can create plans, and man can escape in the end.
All well high. He's smoking joints the whole movie.
That's right.
Crazy.
Badass. George Romero, again, creating an amazing black character in a time when that did not happen. Props to that.
I was very glad he survived to the end. I felt like that was pretty unusual for that era.
God damn it. It's unusual now.
Yeah.
Only half the black characters in the remake survived, and even technically at the end, none of them survived.
That's true.
We don't know.
Well, we don't know.
Look at that. I mean, look at that. There's a lot.
I can't tell because it's found footage. All right.
A lot of zombies.
It's the name of the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you died. Oh my goodness, so many options.
So
this is
many
like
options.
Yeah, we're in Willy Wonka's factory here with the "This is why you died" options. So many deaths. So many people died.
Gosh.
God, boys, take it away. If you can think of anything off the top of your head, like what's the first one that pops to mind?
I will set
I got one
because I feel, yeah, do it.
Oh,
go.
Don't forget your sack of tools when you're trying to hotwire a car.
Keep an eye on your sack.
Keep an eye on your sack. So that's the first one. Second one,
keep your cool. He was losing his mind. He was like all hyped up. Like
that's true.
Like don't drink so many Coca-Colas.
Yeah. Let's see the remake. There's a lot of deaths there too. Oh man, I would say, gosh, I can't think of one. I can't think of there's so many that I would say don't
close the doggy door. Close.
Oh, that's true. Close the doggy door.
Andy.
Doggy door, Andy. You're in a gun store. Like, put a gun through. Blam, blam, blam. Close it. What was that? That was what? Andy. Maybe
he was hungry.
Why? He was hungry.
Had no food.
He was hungry.
He was weak.
He needed a Snickers. He needed a Snickers.
Yeah. So maybe that's why he died.
Andy.
He was hungry.
That's right. He was
Andy died because he was hungry.
Well, he ended up getting fed just on human body parts. Oh no, poor Andy. Flyboy died because he had no upper body strength. He tried to pull himself up, and he's just, I can't get it. Oh, they're chewing on my bits.
Honestly, I'll go Raj as well in the first one. Just fucking close the door when you're hotwiring the car, dude. Why are your feet hanging out the bottom of the door? Just like,
I know.
You're
a short king. They're not that long. Pull them in.
Literally, like you're outside. There are zombies outside. You're doing this whole plan. Shut the doors of the fucking truck.
Yeah.
And then, and the new one, on a complete opposite in the spectrum, if you've got fucking chainsaws in a moving vehicle that you're driving around at high speeds, maybe stick the chainsaw outside the vehicle before you rev it the fuck up. Why the hell? They have
triggers. Let go of the trigger. The chain stops. Let go of the trigger.
Why the hell are you revving the chainsaw while you're getting bounced around in turbulence?
That character basically just brought the bloated zombie in and then killed the girl. That's kind of all that guy did.
Can I say like how mad I was when they let that truck in? There's not a goddamn zombie apocalypse. I'm in a mall. There's a truck driving around, and they're like, "Help us, help us!" I'm like, have fun at the next town, because you know what? That's why they died.
CJ.
Everyone who killed everyone was in that fucking truck.
That's
you
true.
Have two people that had.
That truck was the reason that they ended up making it out. Without the people on that truck, they didn't get a boat.
Where'd they go? Leaving the mall was the dumbest thing they ever did. Where did they go? To the boat, which took them to an island that was covered in zombies. It was Dead Island, but before that game even existed.
I also wonder why any of them left the mall, especially in the first one. They had a whole thing going, and I was like, you got a whole home. And but they were also targets. And they realized that they were forced to leave because fucking Steve couldn't let it go. They're after my stuff. They've come. It's mine. Damn it, it's mine. He's the one who messed the whole thing up again. Honestly, malls and hardware stores. I think I've told this story before on the, I don't remember if it was in an episode or on the extended, but like with the hardware store that I worked at growing up, most defensible zombie location of all time. A manager's office with a one-way window that you can oversee the whole floor, a single staircase that leads up to it with a lockable door at the top, and then also that staircase is in the back that has full warehouse delivery doors.
Also sounds like a
zombie apocalypse note here. If you're going to be up in an office, make sure there's two ways out. You have to have not only the main way in, but you have to have a roof out as well. You can't have only one way in or out.
I don't know if I had a roof out because I didn't spend enough time in that office, but it was very defensible.
Well,
I'm sure there's another way out. There's gonna be another way. Plus, you could like cut your way out. You got
only the managers.
I mean,
know.
in theory, like there were roof tiles. Like the roof tiles had to go somewhere. But just like that staircase, the fact that you could lock the door at the top, you could set some noise traps down at the bottom of the staircase. You've got a lockable warehouse door, and then you can see the entire floor. And you've got security cameras on all of the entrances. So defensible. Chainsaws, lawnmowers, barbecue materials, hardware of every kind.
Boys, we're behind, so we got to get rolling here. But I'm going to say it warms my heart, Ryan, to hear the exact same things I said in 1996, 7-ish.
This was about like 2010.
Yeah, like it's still alive and kicking, people. We're still planning on the zombie apocalypse and how we're going to survive it. That just makes me so fucking happy. All right, let's do the Scully Awards, boys. Let's rate Dawn of the Dead 1978 and Dawn of the Dead 2004, two of the most classic zombie movies ever to be made. Hallelujah. Oh my God. Well, they were my movies. I hate going first, but I will do it because that is tradition. I will have to rate these two movies. Dawn of the Dead original 9.5. I mean, wow. You knew it was coming. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I know it's a little bit flawed. It's a little bit dated now, so I take a little bit away, but it is just, it made the mold. It is the mold. It is one of the most important horror movies ever made. I think a lot of aspects of it hold up. The writing holds up. The satire holds up. Some of the action even holds up. Some of the music cues are goofy because he was trying to save money by just using pre-made music. I don't fucking care. This movie rocks. I love Dawn of the Dead, 9.5. The remake, I think, is much more flawed. I think it's also a very important movie. I think the entire middle chunk just falls apart. It's flaccid. It's poorly directed in chunks. It has a lot of Michael Bay-ish action tropes in it that I don't like. There's some flaccid character development.
Explosions.
A lot of dumb explosions. Some of the worst instincts of Zack Snyder are already on display in this movie. And I fucking hate that like crushed, oversaturated early 2000s look in movies where the sky is just white and there's no detail in it whatsoever. It makes me insane. It's that kind of digital look,
like that yellow, dark, contrasty.
And the overdone green filters, like it is something that it's going to age like shit. It's going to age like milk. I promise you. Like you think that 1978 is dated. This is already looking, it's looking visually dated. As striking as it was at the time, it looks so much like a 2000s movie now that it hurts. It physically hurts me to look at some of those shots and how they're colored. It makes me insane. It just gets an 8.5. Still a damn solid movie. It would be an 8, but it gets a +5 for that opening and for the zombie baby.
Nice.
Dan March of Madness. Dan March of Madness, tell me what your grades are, your Scully Awards for Dawn of the Dead 78 and 04.
I'm going the same for both. I'm going to go 8 for both.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I see.
The same as me. I see. Oh, 8 for both. All right.
Yeah. So two reasons. So I still think like it felt like it just felt a little too long. Like the original Dawn of the Dead, George Romero just felt a little too long. It just felt like it was dragging a little bit. So there's a little bit of the issues. It's super silly. Like I'm going to
show you the Argento version, man. The fast-paced action.
Yeah,
version.
I'm sure I might appreciate that one more. But there was definitely like there was definitely like over the top goofy moments, and I know that's probably that's the point, but it still kind of took me out of it. But for what it is, for setting the groundwork for survival horror, and like without this is the blueprint for Resident Evil games and for survival horror games. And so it's done so much, and it was an entertaining watch, definitely. I just was frustrated with some of the characters, but so that's why it gets an 8. And then Zack Snyder's, at the beginning of this episode, I probably would have even given it a little bit higher, but it is knocked down because, like you said, like there's a lot more characters than there should be. It does feel a little bit all over the place. It does feel a little bit dated, but for what it did for the zombie genre and reinventing it and giving us these fast zombies and just how action packed it is great. But also, like you said too, like I see. I see the early signs of Zack Snyder in this, where it's like, it's like there's some slow motion where it's like, it's okay. It's not like flash 30 seconds of slow-mo, like bad, but it's like, but he's tiptoeing into it. And so there was some definite, like, I don't need to see people's feet during this fight sequence. Like, you don't have to cut to all this stuff, Zack Snyder. But like, so some of that direction knocks it down a peg too, but I'm going flat 8 for both.
8 and 8. All right. All right, Ryan Ross Live, it's your turn.
So I agree with one of you on each movie. I give Dawn of the Dead an 8, and I give Dawn of the Dead, the remake, an 8.5.
Hey!
Higher, yeah.
I think that the original is funny. Like I said, it started so rough. I was struggling so much up until about the time that they all are flying off together with the helicopter. I was just like, God, what the fuck is this movie? Where is it going? What is happening? Why are we watching this? And then like eventually when they all kind of form a group and venture on, which admittedly is a good 20 to 30 minutes into the movie, at that point I started picking up and I was like, okay. And it grew on me throughout. The characters grew on me, the humor grew on me, the vibe, really the atmosphere was really the first thing that kind of, I was like, actually this is being done. The atmosphere is being done really well. And it grew on me from there. Whereas the other one, I do think that it's more actiony. I think it's more scary. I think that it does zombies better. But then to your point, there's a lot of cheesy stuff. Some of the explosions that they make are A, way larger than they should be. And then B, like they just ignore the fact that they're right in front of the truck or right, like there are people there standing 50 feet off.
I love that propane shot where they blow up and like it doesn't make any sense.
They do 3 of them.
Yeah, it's so great.
They like throw it and they shoot it and all you see like the slow motion of all the zombies dropping in a concentric circle. That's a pretty fucking cool shot.
It's a cool shot. It's a ridiculous shot.
It's ridiculous, but
you know what helps save it is when you get the reaction when the guy's like, shit.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Honestly, the thing that I love most about it is the fact that the one zombie like grips the propane tank like, yeah, like that.
It was
that
a
I
Jaws moment. You haven't seen Jaws, but it's straight up Jaws. It's straight up.
Spoiler alert.
Smile, you son of a blam!
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that might have been a nod to that.
But honestly, like there's some cool stuff. I did really like the whole Andy and the cop relationship from the roof. I felt like that was one of the stronger things. But yeah, I feel like the heroine, the main lead, is kind of doesn't really have a lot of meat to her character in the remake. I think that we actually got more character from the guy who died, the main guy who is left on the dock, the dad who dies early. And honestly, ironically, as much as I kind of hated CJ has a lot more character development than most of the other characters.
CJ is
an arc.
Yeah. He's actually got an arc. He actually becomes something. He's an interesting character.
He's got a more defined arc than most of the people in the movie. And so I do think that is a point that kind of is a miss.
Including the main characters.
Yes, you literally like the woman's just kind of there for most of the movie. But I do think that it was entertaining, and I did like what they did with zombies and how that led into other things, at least from what I've seen. But yes, that's the 8 for the original and 8.5 for the remake is where I'm sitting.
For someone who typically hates older movies, Ryan, I'll take an 8. I would give you a come on, man, but I'm not gonna. Shout out to your mom who thought that if you took a shot every time Ken Faree said, "Come on, man," in the original Dawn of the Dead, that you'd be wasted. Drunk.
I do think that she'd be right in that take. That would
quite possible.
That would be a true thing.
Come on, man. I'm all about it. Some quick little trivia things I have to hit you guys with before we get on to the next thing, because these are such cool trivia things. Real quick, the guy who gets the top of his head cut off by the helicopter rotors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, helicopter rotors, and they just built up the top of his head. And he had to step up into the rotors and have that top taken off.
Feels
and
so
then bleed
dangerous.
Down. It's insane.
Why would they do that?
Fucking insane that they did that.
That wouldn't pass union rules today.
Nope. It didn't pass union rules
it's
then.
It's so close to what I thought you were about to say, where you were just like about to say, it really happened. It really cut his head off. And
that was the Twilight Zone movie. R.I.P. Vic Morrow.
That's
Too soon.
True.
Too soon. But speaking of taking heads off,
it really happened.
The original ending of Dawn of the Dead. Remember how Peter goes in the back room with the gun? He's like, "Man, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave." and he was going to blow his head off as soon as they came in at him.
Yeah.
That was how it was going to end.
Oh.
He was going to shoot himself, and then she wasn't going to be able to leave without him, and she was going to step up into the rotors and kill herself.
What?
That was the original ending. When they started filming, that was still in the script as the original ending.
Holy shit.
And they changed it as they shot the movie. And they said, no. We're going to have Peter come to his senses and have this heroic exit, and then they're both going to leave to an uncertain future.
Oh, I like that much better. I'm glad that they made that change.
1000%. That's a great ending. I love it's open-ended. It redeems him. It redeems her. It's a great ending. And last but not least, guess who was the makeup assistant? There was, once again, you had a primary makeup person on Dawn of the Dead, the remake. They had much more help, but it was still basically a two-person team heading it up. Guess who was the assistant to the makeup person on Dawn of the Dead remake? She is a scream queen known for being in Nightmare on Elm Street. Heather Langenkamp. Heather Langenkamp.
I saw her name in the thing, and I was like, that's crazy that person has the exact same name, but it's actually her.
She was the lead. Her husband owns a makeup effects company, and she was the lead assistant with him for makeup. She was out there making all those zombies.
Wow.
That's wild.
Wait,
for 2004.
Hold on. When did No, when did Nightmare, the new Nightmare come out?
New Nightmare?
That had her in 90s, it playing herself.
90s. It was pre-Scream.
Interesting.
It was pre-Scream.
1994.
Oh, you're right.
94, somewhere around there.
94.
Oh, it's just interesting because in that movie, her husband's head of makeup for a horror movie.
Bing, bing, bing.
There you go.
Also, while we're in the trivia space, I did look up the origin of the hotel trope. So the trope is called the elevator from Ipanema, and it's the trope that almost every elevator has the girl from Ipanema as the music track. But apparently it started with John Landis, who used it as an in-joke for every scene he shot inside an elevator in his movies. And so that became a comedic thing. And then I think the action juxtaposition was a later evolution, but the specifically like we're going to have calm music started with John Landis.
Which, I mean, another horror legend, American Werewolf in London. We will be watching that at some point on this show. Can't fucking wait. But in the meantime, we're done with this one. I'm out of the prompt.
You got
and we're gonna find out what we're watching next very soon. Ryan, what are you sitting on right now? What prompt are you sitting on? Sleep. We're gonna see that in 2 weeks, and then Dan, we're gonna see something next week from you. What's your prompt again?
So my prompt that I'm about to reveal is tragedy.
Tragedy, and that's our last hex. Our last hex.
Way out of the hex.
Double feature
of this hex that I put us on.
Oh my goodness.
What'd you choose?
Damn.
What'd you choose?
Well, I don't know. I've got my skull of the beast here, and I'm digging into it. And it's fallen by the wayside. I'm digging in deep, and I'm turning it around. Ooh. Family.
Oh, well, that's fantastic.
Family.
Oh, God.
That's great.
That's dastardly.
I just had a great idea for that, too. Oh, I've got some. No, there's so many great ideas for that.
That was a little.
There's so many good.
We can't talk about zombies for an hour and a half without me biting something, Ryan. You should know that by now.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, so in 3 weeks, we have Family from me. In 2 weeks, we have Sleep from Ryan Ross Live. And next week, Dan March Madness, it is your time to reveal our double feature for Tragedy.
This is tough, guys. I've been.
Man.
Oh, well, did we say whether do we think this resurrected Dawn of the Dead? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Resurrected.
Yeah.
We agreed.
Resurrected.
So then now
Resurrected.
Resurrected.
Dude, it didn't just resurrect Dawn of the Dead. It resurrected zombie fucking cinema. It's the most resurrected you could possibly be. Yeah. It's absolutely as resurrected. Bam.
Woo.
All right, Dan.
All right.
Dan, Tragedy.
It's been tough because it's been down to 2 movies. These to go through. They're probably in my top 5 horror movies. So of which we're gonna revisit. Well, no, but one or the other. It's one or the other, the original, and then we're gonna do. But the
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm saying?
You have two originals
I have
that
two
then
originals
have sequels.
and with the sequels, and I didn't know which way to go because one way we could be reviewing a horrible movie that you guys might tear apart. Or if I go the other way,
I like that.
Ian and I might have one of the most heated debates on this episode that we've ever had.
Well, then you got to roll.
Whoa.
Unless you've picked.
I think I've picked because after talking about our previous episode, we were talking about The Omen, we were talking about Legacy sequels, and so I think I've made my final decision.
Before you reveal, which direction did you go? Did you go horrible movie or did you go heavy debate with Ian?
I went heavy debate.
You want to chop it up, boy? Let's go.
I'm excited.
I do.
Let's go.
So the tragedy that we will be facing is that some poor babysitters have going to be murdered on Halloween night. So we will be watching Halloween.
Shut the
Now,
fuck
there's
up.
been a lot of remakes of Halloween.
Yeah.
So we could have gone Rob Zombie, but we're going to go full Legacy with John Carpenter involved, and we're going to watch the 2018 Halloween as well. So Halloween, the original with the 2018 Halloween, both starring Jamie Lee Curtis.
What is the date of the original? Do we know?
1978.
Yeah, because it was exactly 78.
All right,
2018.
I got to tell you, Dan,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we're going to debate about the 2018 one. That's not the one I have the beef with.
Really? You have beef with the original?
Okay. No, I have beef with the
Rob
sequel
Zombie
to 2018. Actually,
the Halloween Returns or whatever you guys were talking about. You guys were both shitting on that one. Halloween Kills
and then Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends makes me want to get violent. That movie. Oh my God. Okay. Well, dude, we're just doing classic after classic.
Brian, have you seen Halloween?
I think I know I have seen the original a long time ago, but it's been a long time, and I did not realize it was Jamie Lee Curtis at the time. But I have, I believe, seen the original.
And
long time
you're
ago.
gonna know one of her friends now too, because one of the girls from Carrie is also in Halloween.
That's true. Mm-hmm. And we'll be able to tie in our clips of me jump scaring you guys as Michael Myers from our Dead by Daylight preview. We'll be able to mix that in.
Nice cross promotion there. I love that. Speaking of which, where can they see that, Ryan? Where can they catch that footage?
Well, there's a site called patreon.com.
Oh my goodness.
And on Patreon, we have various tiers at which you can subscribe for various perks, such as discount on merch, access to our extended episodes. Not that this one isn't long enough.
This is a spicy one.
Also, our bonus content, such as our DVD special. And then, last but not least, our highest tier is our dedicated benefactors, which you get a shout out every single episode. So, big shout out to CG. Thank you, CG.
Yes.
We appreciate you. And thank you, everyone who chooses to subscribe. It does improve the show. It does help us make more content and elevate what we can do. We have some checkpoints that if we do reach, we'll be able to transform the show in cool new ways.
Yeah.
And then also everybody who chooses to listen, whether you choose to support on Patreon or not, thank you so much for spending time with us. We really do appreciate it. And the fact that you guys can spend your time anywhere and you choose it, chopping it up with us really means the world. And it allows us to make more stuff. So thank you.
Especially this deep into an episode.
Yeah,
I know.
When we have these big double feature episodes, man, if you make it to this point in the show, we salute you. We love you. Thank you very much for that. But if you don't already know, Dan, tell them where they can find our shit.
Beacons.ai/TIWYD pod. You can get our store, the merch here, and where you can listen to us on all streaming platforms, and you can watch our pretty faces on the YouTube channel.
Hi, YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Halloween, huh? Halloween. Oh, man, we are going classics of the classics here.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween and Halloween 2018. Next week, that is going to be 3 absolutely monster double feature shows back to back to
the
back.
end of the hex. We have cleansed
Holy
the hex.
shit. We are doing it for real, y'all. That is the Hex has brought the fire this particular season. But hey, as the boys said, we really appreciate you guys for checking us out. If you're this deep in the show, thank you for listening. Thank you for checking us out. Thank you to all our Patreons. Thank you to all of our dedicated listeners and all of our viewers on YouTube. Everybody, we will see you next time. It's going to be another great show. Thank you for sticking around. For Ryan Ross Live, for Dan March of Madness, I am Sir Ian Dangerous. We'll see you next time right here on
This is why you die.